Yeah, man. It's been a while. Since the T. Let me start. Boom. Yeah. It's your boy Mac. Head of tech. Hell yeah. And you are now tuned into Sky Alpha HD, little better than your mainstream radio, and we're not playing nowhere to .com, catch a mainstream. You can find us on the app, Play Stores where they get it at. Otherwise, APKPO should serve for the same task. Come show with the cast, main nose in the class. Radio to the stars with a certified intergalactical pass. Boy shows in the past, feature right here, why even ask? Book you a seat on the ship, we fully equipped, get ready to have you a blast. Big shout out to our sponsors, our media partners too. And never forgetting our listeners, we could have heaven us without a you. Innovative with the new, and debated in the news. Sky Alpha HD, get at us, do what it do.
I have my guests in the studio. Good morning, Excellency, and more importantly, good morning, Honorable Minister.
Morning, Daddy.
Good morning
to your listeners.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you both here in studio. Excellency, you've been here before. You are a regular.
Yes.
You not so much, Honorable Minister. This is your first time. Welcome.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you're on the biggest show in the country.
170,000 listeners per episode.
Oh, I wasn't aware. That's good.
Now you know. And until somebody has numbers to prove otherwise, we'll keep saying that. I would like to start by asking about a wonderful initiative that I know the EU is pairing with the government called Metsi A Lesotho. Perhaps that's a good place for us to start this conversation. Excellency, what is Metsi A Lesotho and what is that about?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. The EU, since a long time, has concentrated resources in Lesotho to support the government in providing clean water to Basotho. It's questionable the fact that being in the water tower of Southern Africa, still there are Basotho not having access to water. And this has been the focus of our cooperation with Honorable Minister Moleko and with the government, how we can make sure that by 2030 and hopefully before, Lesotho can reach SDG 6.1, clean water and sanitation for all. So the new program, Metsi A Lesotho, built on previous initiative that the government of Lesotho and the EU have supported, but specifically focus on rural area. And one component of the project is meant to provide water to schools in first place, health center, and communities around them. So the objective is to reach 250 rural community, 125 school and clinics. This part of the program will be implemented with the support of UNICEF, but will involve on the government side, indeed, the Ministry of Natural Resources, but also the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Local Government, and the various districts. It will be implemented across the 10 districts, and it will be need-based. So the most needy community will be targeted by this program. And the second component of Metsi A Lesotho will allow to expand the Noka program of integrated catchment management. Right. So far, 565 hectares have been rehabilitated, but the objective with this extension is to reach at least 50% of the areas and continue preserving water and soil. We see water and protection of soil as a sort of the linchpin on which Lesotho can build food security and prosperity.
Dr. Minister, talk a little bit about the impact of a project like this. What impact does that have on our mountain kingdom?
Well, I think it has a huge impact if you're talking about 200 communities. And I think the ambassador talked about something which is very important. Our goal, which is Sustainable Development Goal number 6, potable water or clean water and sanitation to all by 2030. So within that broad objective, the EU, I think, has played quite a critical role. Here we are talking about Metsi A Lesotho, but there are other initiatives that the EU has helped us with. For instance, the building of Metolong. And now they are currently helping us with the Lesotho Lowlands Development Water Project, which is going to be giving one of the phases in Leribe and Botabote is going to be giving about 115,000 people water. So if you add on to Metsi A Lesotho, the 200 communities and health centers and schools, they are really helping us a lot. But over and above that, if I must say,
Yes, please.
they have one of the best projects in the world. I say the best project in the world, which is Noka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it's one of the best projects in the world because Ambassador talked about that we are the water tower of this region. But we are still struggling to give, say, people water and manage the resources. So Noka manages the land and let's say the land and ecosystems and the wetlands.
Yeah.
They are working with communities there to rehabilitate agricultural land and so on. So I'm saying it's the best project because Lesotho provides water to, say, 19 million people water in South Africa. We are going to be building additional dams under Rasacom, the Orange River Simbu Water Commission.
Yeah.
That's going to be giving people water in Botswana. But nobody is thinking of protection of that resource, which is not infinite.
Right.
So Renoka plays quite a critical role in actually addressing that challenge. And we hope that funding for that project will increase.
In another life, sorry, Bella, just quickly. Okay. In another life, Excellency, you are an accountant. What is the economic impact of all of this that we are talking about?
Well, all these water projects which we have, when we undertake them, the economy of the country grows. Currently, under our ministry, I think we account for about, let's say, 25 to 30% of the government, of the budget. But 9 billion of that budget is off balance sheet. It's not sitting with the fiscus. So I think what we need to do going forward is to actually adjust that budget so that people can actually see the true nature of our budget. That 9 billion is the budget that's building the dams under LHD. So once you do that, also that adjustment, all your statistics and figures that are going to change, especially the negative statistics. For instance, you might get people saying that the current budget of the government is way higher than the capital. That's not true. So those are the kind of things we'll be fixing.
I'm trying to look for a hand clap here for you. There it is. There you go. That's a round of applause for you there, Excellency.
Can't hear it, but the people can
It's
hear
happening.
it. So first, I'd like to commend the name. For those that don't know, Noka essentially translates to "We are the river," which I think is pretty deep. So I'm curious about, is there perhaps like a live database where we can see the areas that have been receiving this assistance. I think a map would be great, but I know that's a bit more tech forward than some people probably even care to think of. But I think it would be really great for people to just kind of see the impact of the projects and, you know, everything that's involved with, you know, maybe the people that you work with in general. So is there something of the sort that people can just look at that?
There is, Renoka has developed, together with FAO, a land cover atlas. And it's a live document in the sense that you can see the current status, but you can use it also to map deterioration, or vice versa. You can see there how the wetland are protected, how the gullies are reduced. So it was developed in order to provide the Ministry of Natural Resources, but also the Ministry of Environment, the district administrator, an instrument that they could use, for instance, to decide where to make future development in terms of agriculture, or where to place certain infrastructure. So by looking into the website of Renoka, or otherwise calling on Renoka, one can have access and see how the project is expanding and addressing certain issue. You will see, for instance, that Renoka has signed an agreement in order to stabilize the terrain in Haramarotole, because after the construction of the solar power station, erosion started affecting the infrastructure. And by having an instrument like the Land Cover Atlas, one would like to avoid this kind of situation. There was an environmental impact study, but maybe not all the elements were taken into account, and this was affecting the infrastructure. So now Renoka is working together with LECCO in order to be able to stabilize the terrain, and it will be benefit to the infrastructure, but it will be of benefit for the community around it. Another element, maybe, if the Honourable Minister allow me, that I think it's very interesting for the audience, or at least I hope so, it's the fact that Renoka work very much with indigenous knowledge. There are a number of practices that over time were abandoned, and by working together with the communities, these practices are sort of revalorized. So working with terracing, working with traditional method to maintain the terrain. I think these are, it's another characteristic of Renoka. It's applying new technology and knowledge, but building of the traditional knowledge of the communities.
Yeah.
I guess that was actually going to be my next question to you, the Honourable Minister, is do we have enough people that are being taught this information so that when the project is complete, we don't have just going back to square zero?
Yeah.
So we have our own people who have this indigenous knowledge again, and we can continue to do it without depending on somebody else to come and, you know, help get us out of the rut again, because I'm hoping that from here on we just continue to get better and we improve, but we can keep the knowledge and keep it working, and even if we add more technology in it, we can at least know why we're adding something and what we're replacing and why that makes more sense. So do we have enough of that, or do we need to essentially galvanize to have more people learning or relearning this indigenous knowledge?
Well, you can never have enough people if 100% of the people are not involved. Yeah, if 100% of the people are involved, you'd say, well, we are maybe at our maximum, and they will assist wherever they are. The whole objective of programs like Renoka is actually to work with the communities to set up what you could probably say stakeholder communities at various levels, whether it's the chiefs, the the district councillors and so on. So that's what we are trying to set up. Here's why it's called the integrated catchment management, where you involve everybody. Currently, Noka was working on 8 catchments, but because of seeing the urgency of actually rehabilitating our soil and land, those catchments are going to be doubled, and we have already started. So there will be about 8. But I think it's still also important for people to understand that it's not only Noka under the ministry that's addressing this climate challenge. We still have an ICM unit within, say, Lesotho Islands Development Authority. They are also doing the same work, rehabilitating wetlands, looking at management of rangelands, agriculture, soil, and so on. But just to conclude, I wanted to go back to your question about the Land Atlas. It was launched this year at Ramaro Tole. You have a physical document which is very beautiful, and you also have a digitized version. And I think, listening to you, I was thinking we should actually now go out and advertise the atlas, because it's important for business people to actually look at it when they plan where they are going to place whatever they want, infrastructure they want to place, be it agriculture, tourism, or any other. So it's quite important. I think, Ambassador, we have to have a drive to
absolutely.
It's a beautiful
document. That's the document that was being adopted just earlier this year.
Yes,
it was launched at Ramartole together with His Majesty. Another point, Renuka has also been supporting a Master in Water at the National University of Lesotho. So as we speak, there is already...
Wait, Excellency, before you go on.
So as we speak, there are already young Basotho who are learning, and in fact they are already doing their internship in businesses and bringing the innovation and the knowledge about ICM and water management. I know for sure that there are students from the Water Master who have been working in the mines. So I think there is... and that's something we are working very hard together with the Honorable Minister. We are all very aware of the need to make this program sustainable over time, not to be something whose lifespan is limited to the time where there is funding, either from the EU and the German government or other, but it's something that really become a feature in Lesotho, and I think there is already a lot of work done on this, and with the second phase, there will be even more focus on making Renuka a sustainable program and one disseminated over time. We have done promotion with the principal chiefs in the country. We are working with school to promote it. There is a lot more to be done. As Honorable Minister was saying, everybody should be aware and should follow. But in the limited time, I think there has already been evolution and change promoted by Renuka.
Excellency, what is the size of the investment in terms of this what we are talking about?
The Metsi A Lesotho is a program of 27 million euro. I think it's translated. 540 million. 40 million.
That's a lot of
which are subdivided between the two main objectives. On one side, the provision of water to the community, and another portion for the extension of Renuka. So that's the size of the last investment.
I think, like you say, it's quite a lot of money if you look at the fact that you're providing water for people, and you're providing business for contractors who are going to be building those facilities.
Right.
The related taxes.
Yeah.
The applause one doesn't work as well as the other one.
You can't hear it.
Yeah, it's-
but the listeners can hear it.
Okay, yeah, that's important. That's important. Paolo, do you have anything there?
Not at the moment.
Really, even though you heard Excellency talk about, the minister talk about, we need to do it good. Yeah.
So I've done some work with Noka for voiceovers actually. So with him actually, he's my producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely, her and I are voiceovers. So do feel free to hit us up for those advertisements.
Can be found everywhere.
It strikes me that Noka it's one of the most important projects that we've had
definitely sounds like it.
in the
Yeah, it
country
is,
for
yeah.
a long time. The work it's sustainable, it's long term. I think that that talks to the great partnership that the EU has had with our government.
Renoka has been displayed, presented in a number of international fora because of his approach and because it's an approach that other countries would also like to implement. So His Majesty was in Brussels in 2022 to present the Renoka program. He has been the ambassador of the program from the very beginning, from the launch back in 2021. Then it has been presented in COP27. It has been presented at the World Water Forum in Dakar. So it's a program which is making waves even beyond Lesotho. I don't like to call it project. Sometimes we call it project, but it's really a program of the government of Lesotho, which has been spearheaded with resources from the EU and the German government, but that has a lot of ownership. And I think the applauses should go also to all the community which are involved and are making the difference because it implies also making sometimes difficult choices. You have to preserve the wetland for the greater good, which means that maybe you cannot exploit at least until this area is not recuperated. And in that sense, I think community are also contributing, and they are the major contributor to the project. They are also the one providing the hard labor for the terracing, for the micro dam, for planting the grass. So I think, yes, there is an investment in the program, but a lot is based on the contribution of the community in the whole catchment area from the island all the way down. Because one of the disadvantages of some other program in the past has been that sometimes the focus was around the wetland without taking into account the community upstream, and therefore there was not a sustainable and inclusive approach. And that's something that Renoka has tried to change and modify. We haven't talked also about the livelihood aspect of the Renoka
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, Minister, with your politician hat on, speak a bit about the community development and community aspect related to this conversation.
Yeah, well, like we said, that the communities are fully involved. And obviously, some of the work is paid for. We get they employ laborers, and I think just this year to also give you the magnitude of the investment, I think Renoka has been financed with about 230 million maluti. So you can also see.
Comes out. The applause. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I think it's quite an important project. Like I said, for things to be sustainable, you have to involve the communities.
Yeah.
So currently, what we are going to be driving towards is involvement, decentralization, basically. Involvement of the district council, the councillors, the chiefs,
Yeah.
So I think in the next few months, you'll just see that push for decentralization under the Minister of Water. Yeah, I think we need to be tightly knitted
Yeah.
to make sure that everybody's involved.
Absolutely.
I think I wouldn't be a proper journalist if I didn't ask this question. Not specifically to Runaga or the projects that you hear about, but specifically also about, you hear word about projects like Budihadi, where the people who live around those areas end up losing their homes, and then they're, displaced and perhaps not given enough to start a new life. So how do we go about, as a community in general, making sure that people are taken care of, even as we're building to improve? Because, one can say there's 2 million people, what is one person, right?
Yeah.
But my personal belief is all people are, they should be considered in that manner. So even if we're going to build a project or something that's going to move us forward, it should move every single person forward and not just a select few. So I guess I'm wondering what comment you have regarding making sure that people are given the proper treatment they should be given, even in the wake of all these projects, because as great as they are, we need to also remember that the people are why we are all here. I think as, ministers, for me, I look at you all as the guides to help make sure that all of us who are living, continue living that life and not just, get to make money and have a nice little surplus and look good. So, yeah.
I think this is one of the best questions of this interview.
Thanks, Excellency. Honorable Minister. Forget about all the questions that we asked.
This one.
He said, what Bella said?
No, I think it's one of the best.
Okay.
Wow,
You don't have a favorite child.
This interview. I think what's been giving me sleepless nights, my number one priority now, is the fact that there's about 400 million that of unpaid communal compensation for phase one, which I'm desperately fighting for. It's one of my the most serious concerns I have, because with lessons learned from phase one, we can now correct the problems that were experienced in phase one to make sure that communities are paid on time and appropriate compensation. So I think it's important. Those lessons we've learned, so we are working on them. I'm hoping that within the year, you'll hear me announce that 400 million is now being paid to the people. But we are seriously working on that.
On that note of one of the best questions being asked, can I go to a musical break, and then when we come back, we'll wrap up our interview with Honorable Minister Moleko and Her Excellency Paola Amadei. We are in studio, myself, the fire, we've got Bella, and Party Paolo is standing in silence. T-Maker is also here with his camera. This one is Mr. Maps. He features Nooch on it. It's called Yes.
Some real feelings. Yeah, man. It's been a while. Since the tea. Let me start. Boom. Yeah. It's your boy Mac. Head of tech. And you are now tuned into Sky Alpha HD, little better than your mainstream radio, and we're not playing you know weather.com, catch a mainstream. You can find us on the app, Play Stores where they get it at. Otherwise, APKPO should serve for the same task. Come show with the cast, main nose in the class. Radio to the stars with a certified galactic pass. Boy shows in the past, feature right here, why even ask? Book you a seat on the ship, we fully equipped, get ready to have you a blast. Big shout out to our sponsors, our media partners too. And never forgetting our listeners, we couldn't have us without a you. Innovative with the new, and debated in the news. Sky Alpha HD, get at us, do what it do.
With hearts and smiles, I love her pro pic. My girl got style. She writes from home when her time is cool, or from a lecture when she's at school.
Paolo's busy inviting us to his party that he's organizing with the ambassador and the minister. I saw the ambassador's lies eyed up, and the minister's thought, huh? We didn't know we were throwing a party.
Well, we're throwing a party.
Seems like Paola has committed them to throwing a party. It's 8:40 here on the Continental Breakfast. I'm the Fired. I've got Bella and Paola with me. Our two guests are in studio. We have to send a shout out to our Olympic runners. The ladies marathon is on currently. What is the lady's name? Mukudu? Yes, she would have kicked off at 8. But massive shout out to Molelo yesterday. And
Tebello.
7th position.
Yeah.
A minute and a half from the gold medalist.
Do you know what's more impressive? He says he got an injury 2 weeks ago. He got a hamstring injury 2 weeks ago. And it was pulling a bit, but he decided to run anyway. The plan was to kick at the 35th kilometer mark to try and catch up with the group. But as soon as he started to kick, then he felt the hamstring get tight again. So actually, he reckons he could have medaled. He could have medaled, but we are still very pleased with this 7th position.
That's the advantage to train in the Mountain Kingdom. When you go down to the sea level,
this is easy.
And that's really an opportunity for Lesotho to market itself as a place where high performance sport people can come and prepare, especially taking advantage also of the seasonal difference with the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
You could really have...
Minister, what's your 42-kilometer timeline?
Asking very serious question.
I don't run, but I walk.
No, I've seen you walk. Excellent.
And the delegation has currently a challenge ongoing. Between 14th of June and the end of October, 9 people, we want to walk 5 million steps.
Wow.
We have already walked over 2,500,000. So we are very serious about it.
That's apparent.
So I think we will overshoot.
Minister, maybe you should match their commitment.
Just walk.
Sheesh. Yeah, 5 million steps is a lot. Let's talk as we wrap up. We've spoken about community engagement and community development. Excellency, what do you see going forward with Noka and Metsi A Lesotho? How do you think this will culminate?
Look, in the past week, there was an important visit from the Rome-based agency of the UN, the FAO, IFAD, and the World Food Programme. And so there was a lot of discussion around food security. Now we see development in the water sector, provision of sustainable clean water to all Basotho, as one of the fundamental element for food security in Lesotho. Up to now, most Basotho live out of rain-fed agriculture, subsistence agriculture, and they don't have access to irrigation. And when we go down to nutrition, one of the major elements of nutrition is having access to clean water and cut down on the waterborne diseases that affect the well-being of Basotho. So investing in water for us, preserving water and then providing access will permit to change the current situation of a number of Basotho every year suffering for food scarcity. And this particular year, where we are facing an emergency, 700,000 Basotho considered to be at risk. So while we are talking about increasing production, we have to continue insisting on the element of inclusion. It's not sufficient just to increase production. We have on one side to preserve the resources, fundamentally water and soil, and then making sure that that food produce reach the table of all Basotho families.
Yeah.
So that's what we would like to see happening. We haven't talked about it, and it's something also the Honorable Minister is involved with, but it's all the work currently ongoing, also with the support of the European Union, to increase the production and access to renewable energy. Again, there is a strong connection between the water, energy, food security and well-being. So SDG 7 2030 coverage every Mosotho having access to electricity. We are not yet there, but we could be there because there is a potential to produce sufficient renewable energy for all. And this, again, would be an accelerator of growth and would also contribute to food security. If you don't have the energy to activate the pump to access the water, you cannot do it. But also, if you don't have the electricity, you will continue to use for your cooking, for processing of food, biomass, and by doing that, reduce the coverage of the land, contributing to more soil erosion. So we see all these as investment in sustainability, and we see them also as investment in jobs and skill. Often people seem to think that protecting the environment, investing in sustainability is contradicting the objective of creating more jobs, creating more opportunity. We see it exactly in the opposite way, because the Honorable Minister was referring to the work created through Noka, through the program in construction of water infrastructure, construction of new energy power station. All this will contribute to create more job at a different level, skilled job. And this is also something we are very proud of, that we have been partnering notably again with the National University of Lesotho, but also with Bethel Business and Community Development Center in order to train Basotho in renewable energy technology, so that when the investment will start flowing and more will be done in this sector, they will be ready to seize the opportunity. Indeed, there is the investment in Aramarotole, but there is also all the development of the mini-grids across the country. For the time being, there is one concession. There are intention to expand them to additional location. And each of these locations currently across several sites in the island create new job when the stations are created, but then also for maintenance. And then later on they provide opportunity for businesses in the community that finally have access to affordable energy.
I just want to ask, what has been the attitude of the communities? What's the uptake? Are they really invested in being part of this program? And are they just getting it? And when you're doing your trainings, is it something they're seeing, and they're seeing the long-term benefits of this entire program?
Well, the few communities that I visited are really happy about the program, because if you look at before the program was involved in their communities and after, you'll see there's quite a great change. You have areas where there were dongas which have been rehabilitated, and Renoka normally takes photos of before and after the program. But what I wanted to say, because I don't even know how much time left.
Not much.
So if we don't have much time, I just wanted to say that all these programs and projects we are talking about are just a small segment of the broader picture that we are trying to achieve as a ministry. You will remember that a year ago, we introduced a vision for Lesotho during our conference, Metsi A, where we were saying that Lesotho should become the first digital hydro nation in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that has actually taken momentum, because we were trying to come up with a new vision of the country based on the water endowment we have, and then use digitization as a catalyst to economic growth. I say it's a broader vision in the sense that it has a number of pillars, about 4 pillars, where we say water for life. Here we mean we should be providing water for water and sanitation for communities, people, for human life and non-human life, for agriculture and so on. And we have water for skills development, where we are saying that we should be involving the university and other institutes of excellence in water to upscale people, to make sure that Lesotho becomes a source of experts and consultants that can even go out into the region to assist, because we know more about water than probably most countries in terms of the infrastructure we've built, the consultants we have. So we want to boost that water for skills development. And then we have water for regional development, where this pillar talks about our agreements with South Africa. We build them dams to show that expertise we have. We build the dams, we are transferring water to them. We have institutions like Noka who know of water. So all these skills can be exported. You know, that's water for regional development. Remembering also we have Orasacom, the Orange River Simku Water Commission. That's going to be building reservoirs for transfer of water to Botswana over 700 kilometers of terrain. So those are the kind of initiatives we're having. But it's a broader strategy that will be anchored around digitization. And fortunately, as a result of that conference, the EU again have stepped in because they saw the vision and said they will help us. So we've signed a letter of commitment amounting to about half a billion maluti to actually of the systems. Last week on Saturday we had our first meeting with the money is going to be provided by the Finland government, the Finnish government. So we've signed a letter of intent for that amount, and we have the Finnish Water Forum that represents a number of companies in the water sector that will be assisting us now undertake that work. So there's a much broader vision than what we are talking about here. And fortunately, it's fortunate that there are people around the world that actually see, in terms of that vision, what we are trying to achieve. This year alone, we've had 2 interviews as the ministry. I've been interviewed by 2 international TV stations or radio stations, BBC, or no, not a radio station, a magazine, and Forbes. So those articles will come out, I think, within the one for Forbes, which is...
So you were just building up to this interview, like you were stepping up until you got to the apex interview, so that you could get this.
So there are people who actually see that vision, and will also be having support from the UTA government in the United States,
in the US,
because they've analyzed what we are trying to achieve, and they were laughing, saying, well, they don't see through the literature what people are doing, the digital hydronation strategy within these countries. Most, you'll find they have a digital strategy, or they have a hydro strategy. They become hydronations. But you don't get that
the integration.
So they said they're going to help us become the first digital hydronation in the world, and they will become the first digital hydro state in the world. So that's how important.
Wonderful. We're working. The things are afoot. Honorable Minister and Excellency, it has been an absolute pleasure having you in the studio. There's much more to talk about, unfortunately.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, there's not enough time. So maybe we can commit to doing this again in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
We have thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show, and as I say, we look forward to seeing all of this happen. Some of it is happening already, as you say, and we look forward to the culmination of it all, with us becoming a digital hydro nation and the EU's continued impact in this great kingdom. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister, and thank you to you, Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to play a song and then we're going to come back and close the show. Okay, wonderful. It is the Continental Breakfast with Party Paolo, Isabella, and myself, The Fire. It's Bella's last show, but it's been epic, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has.
Wonderful.
Yeah, man. It's been a while since the tea. Shh, let me start. Boom. Yeah. It's your boy Mick. Head of tech. And you are now tuned into Sky Alpha HD, little better than your mainstream radio, and we're not playing you know weather.com, catch a mainstream. You can find us on the app, Play Stores where they get it at. Otherwise, APKPO should serve for the same task. Come show with the cast, main nose in the class. Radio to the stars with a certified intergalactic pass. Boy shows in the past, feature right here, why even ask? Book you a seat on the ship, we fully equipped, get ready to have you a blast. Big shout out to our sponsors, our media partners too. And never forgetting our listeners, we couldn't have us without a you. Innovated with the new, and debated in the news. Sky Alpha HD, get at us, do what it do.